So we're going to be retouching with the healing and spot healing brush tools. We've got a number of practice images to work on here. We've got a handout for a resource and some other instructional tutorials with various photography teachers explaining their methods if they're helpful to you. So I like to, I'm actually starting in Photopea. I'll also show the Photoshop version as well. And when I go to, when I forget what these tools do, because I don't use them all the time, I just do a quick Google search. So I was looking for the healing brush tool. So the healing brush tool is basically going to allow you to fix things such as scratches, blemishes, and the healing brush tool is the one that is just the plain old Band-Aid looking tool. So there's the healing brush tool, and then the other tool we're using is the spot healing tool. So the spot healing tool in Photoshop has this little dotted arch over the Band-Aid. It looks a little different in Photopea. It actually has a little X over it instead of the arch, but it's basically the same tool. So if we look at what the spot healing brush tool does, it is a tool that is going to clone just like the clone stamp tool, but it also blends at the same time that you're cloning pixels. So as yesterday's clone tool just took pixels from one area and brushed the exact same pixels, the spot healing actually not only clones, but it also blends. And that might help if you are trying to replicate some texture like hair texture or skin texture. So the thing that I always do is I usually try a variety of those retouching tools, and I find what might work the best on my images. So let's take a look in Photoshop as how actually, let's go back to Photopea because I already have some of my pictures downloaded. So let's see, spot healing tool. So the key thing would be, of course, to get out your navigator and zoom in on these areas that you're trying to clean up. And we can start by getting rid of these areas here that are spots. And we can also work a little bit on this watermark as well. So the regular healing brush tool is where you're going to need to set a source point. So I like to find an area where I think I can get a good match of color and value and set my source point in that area. And I do that by hitting the ALT button so that I get my target. And then I do a regular left click and then I let go. So I've set my source point right here, and you can see that it's previewing a little bit. And then I'm going to be able to enlarge my brush size. I'm actually just hitting the right bracket, and I'm starting to use the healing brush tool. It's cloning and blending at the same time. Now, if I want to try it in this area, I might really shrink my brush down. And I just want to be careful. My crosshairs are following in tandem. So as soon as that target or crosshair starts to move, I just want to keep an eye on it so that I don't actually end up copying some of this that would create the patterning. So that's a good indication that I have to ALT, click, let go, reset my source point, and continue working. The spot healing brush tool is a little bit easier in that you don't need to set your source point. You should just be able to click right over and it tries to blend. Now that was kind of a wide brush. I didn't really need to go that wide. But I do not need to set a source point. It is trying to blend. It's not doing the best job over here, maybe that's when I go back to my healing brush tool and try that. But I'd have to ALT click in a skin tone area that I think is going to match, and then continue. So this white is definitely trickier to do here. But that's the difference between the spot healing and the healing brush tools. So practice those tools.